This is a video on writing the movie critique outline. So you need to download the form from the site, and then you'll put your name on it, and then you'll start by filling in the blanks. And the first thing you will want to do is come up with a context, and that will be just an overview of the basic issues you're going to deal with in your essay. And this practice one that I'm doing with you is focused on Forrest Gump. And so the context I came up with is just, you can see it there, okay, and just looking at the overall challenges, just something general about love and challenges, okay. Then after doing the context, you would do a brief summary, just a few sentences. You don't need to hit all the events in the movie. You can assume that the reader has seen the movie. In fact, I'm going to add that in. Assume the reader has seen the movie. You just want to put the details in that are relevant to the analysis that you are doing. And so then you move into your thesis statement, which, you might have something, this one has Forrest, okay, because we're dealing with Forrest Gump, but you can have your own character or two characters, or all of the events in the movie show blah, 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 okay. And then it could be message, 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 or you can look back at the overall lecture, movie critique overview lecture that has the thesis statement video. But here we have, through Forrest's experience, the movie demonstrates that people can overcome obstacles, that childhood abuse damaged a person long after the abuse stops, and that people who love each other will reunite. And so it has 3 clauses. They're all in parallel structure. Not perfectly exactly the same, okay, but have a that clause and a noun and a verb, and it just follows together, okay. Then I wanted to point out too some common verbs that you can use for analysis. You do want to have analytical language, so here are some verbs you can use, and you can try to vary those up, or you should vary those in your paper. Don't want to use the same verbs over and over again. And you should have analytical language at these places in your paper, so that you can show to your reader that you're analyzing the movie at those points and not just stating generalities. All right. So when you move into your topic sentences, you might want to have a opening statement here, like one message. So you give it a frame of reference. With that, one message in the movie is that, and then give your message, okay? Then you move into the examples from the movie that support your point. So that would be plot information, whatever that proves that your message is true. And then you would analyze, from these events, viewers realize. And remember too, we have this in the other video, you want to use the plural, okay? So that if you say they, it matches. So viewers realize, then you have the message, the concept, the analytical concept or insight that you have in your own words. So you're going to have to take whatever insight you have and vary the phrasing of it several times in your paper. Then you want to bring in something from a secondary source. You only have to use 2, so you wouldn't have that in every body paragraph, but I'm going to go ahead and put it here. You might say, similarly, movie critic, and then put the author's name, argues that, and then a quotation. So you want to find movie critics who say something about what you are writing about and support that. Now let me point out that the people who write about movies are movie critics, but what you're writing is a movie critique. Okay, critique is the actual writing on it, but a person who writes movie reviews and stuff is a movie critic. Right. You're not writing a movie critic. Okay, all right. And then you might have additional details that support your perspective, and then sum that up, or reflect on that. When the event occurs, viewers realize and have your insight, and then here you have the analysis and the event together, so you don't have to restate analysis. So sometimes you might roll those together, have an event and analysis in the same sentence, and then sum up in your concluding sentence where you show how all the events discussed in the paragraph wrap up together to illustrate the message. So these events in the movie illustrate and then rephrase the message from the topic sentence. And as I've said over here, it's a summative statement in your concluding sentence. Then you move into your second body paragraph, and it's not absolutely necessary to go ahead and have your transitions in your outline, but can't hurt to go ahead and be thinking along those lines. So I have possibilities, a second message or another message, which, you have the baby transitions, okay? Anybody can do a first, second, third message, okay? Or one message, another message, and a final message. You should be able to get those baby transitions in there, okay? But then there's another more sophisticated transition where you summarize the paragraph's main point and move into the next point, okay? While Forrest's successes in life reveal that people with handicaps can overcome obstacles. So that's summarizing the previous one, then move into the next one. The difficulties Jenny faces demonstrate that childhood abuse leaves scars that last for a lifetime. And notice how up here, the initial message was childhood abuse damages a person long after the abuse stops. Okay, that's phrased one way. But then down here, difficulties Jenny faces demonstrate childhood abuse leaves scars that last for a lifetime. So those are the same concepts, but stated very differently. So you will have to challenge yourself to try to figure out, how can I state the similar insight but with slightly different wording. Okay, so here you have the events from the movie. Now with Jenny's behaviors, you might go ahead and say this, 3 or 4 things that show that Jenny has been impacted by the abuse. Then give your insight. Say a critic agrees. Anybody who's writing about Forrest Gump would talk about the abuse she experienced. And then move into a concluding sentence. So you might not have example, analysis, example, analysis. You might have example, 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 analysis. Right? The outline is just put together one way as an option. All right. And then concluding sentence again is a summative statement. Jenny's ongoing struggles, that's summarizing what's happened in the movie, poignantly, brilliant word, okay, illustrate the challenges people face when they have been abused. And so that wraps up again the idea that abuse has long-term effects. And then again, we've got the baby transitions, third message or a final message, or summary. While Forrest's success and the impact of the abuse Jenny experiences, don't want to use the impact again. The impact of the abuse Jenny experiences. Fill the movie. We'll just put fill. That's not the greatest. Okay. An uplifting message from the movie is that people who love each other deeply will reunite despite events which threaten to keep them apart. And so again, same message, different wording. All right. Then again, this one will be one. You'd have the events that keep them apart. Maybe a critic comments on that, certainly probably would, because that's a big part of the movie, is that Jenny and Forrest are kept apart. Then Forrest finds Jenny, yay, piecing the carrots back together. And then Forrest and Jenny's life together near the end of her life shows that, and then love can bring people together despite the odds against them, which again is the same message but stated differently. Then in your conclusion, you restate all 3 messages, but do not just repeat your thesis statement. In fact, let me add that in. Do not merely be creative here. Okay. Then hit the highlights of the plot from the essay. Do not forget some details. Don't make it that whoever's reading your conclusion doesn't know what movie you're talking about. Okay, make sure you talk a little bit about the characters and the events and that kind of thing from the movie. And then talk about the overall significance of the issues in the movie and the movie's value to the viewers. Why should we watch it? Why does it have an impact on its viewers? All the movies that I've put on the list should have some sort of social impact or social significance messages underlying them. They're not just for light and fluffy entertainment to escape life. They should help you have an insight about life. So how then should people view these movies to enrich their lives in some way? It might not be happy insights, okay? Not all of life is happy. So what is it that we can learn from these movies? If you have any questions, give me a call or post a message or whatever. Just make sure you ask me the question. Don't not ask the question.